To live fully, you must first let go, not as a strategy, not as a spiritual trick, but as the immediate recognition that life slips through clenched fists and moves with open hands. The world appears solid because you insist upon gripping it. Yet everything you call mine trembles like a reflection on a lake. The harder you strain to keep the image intact, the more your grasp churns the water, and the face you sought to preserve dissolves into rings of light. Life is not something you hold, it is something that holds you. It is the river carrying the leaf, the music carrying the dancer, the breath carrying the body. The truth is not hiding from you. The truth is that you've been pretending to be the puppeteer while the strings are woven of sky. Let us be plain. Control is the great fiction. You can schedule your days, polish your persona, and bargain with fate, but existence has never signed your contracts. The heart beats on its own. The lungs drink the air without your permission. The mind, that noisy parliament of doubts and declarations, rises and falls like weather over open sea. To live fully, you must allow the wind to blow. You must discover that spontaneity is not chaos, but a deeper order, one that your plans only imitate, like a child tracing a river on a paper map while the real water laughs and runs among stones. You and I are not strangers to this. Recall a moment of laughter that surprised you, the sudden beauty of rain on a window, the inexplicable relief after you gave up forcing a decision. And the answer came on tiptoe. In those moments you didn't tighten. You loosened. You did not abandon responsibility. You abandoned the fantasy that responsibility meant domination. You softened into the rhythm that was already playing, and life became less of a problem to solve and more of a song to hear. That is letting go. It is not resignation, it is release. You see a difference between a bird caged and a bird on the wing. One possesses a bird, the other becomes flight. We've been educated to clutch. From childhood we're told to hold our breath, figuratively, if not literally, until we become someone important, someone secure, someone recognized by a world that is itself a passing festival. We clutch to ideas about who we are, the successful one, the spiritual one, the one with answers. But identities are masks worn by the play, not the face that wears the mask. The performance is thrilling because it ends, the curtain falls, the audience rises, and you step into the night air relieved of the role. Letting go is stepping outside the theater of control into the living night of mystery, where the stars are older than your ambitions and the air is free of applause. Now consider your breath. You cannot breathe yesterday's breath, nor tomorrow's. You can only breathe now. To live fully, you must align with that fact, not as a philosophy, but as a sensation. Feel the exhale. Notice how every exhalation is a microcosm of surrender. The body does not hoard carbon dioxide out of fear. It releases, trusting that the next inhale arrives of its own accord. Life is a conversation, not a monologue, and letting go is the part where you listen. It is your exhale to the universe's inhale. When you will not let go, you interrupt the conversation and speak over the silence that wants to answer you. This is not a commandment, it is a description. When a wave rolls, it doesn't achieve rolling. It simply expresses the sea. You do not achieve letting go. You realize you are being let go of, moment by moment, by a universe that refuses to crystallize into your photograph of how it should be. The photograph is flat. The world is alive. Letting go is the return to aliveness. So let us venture deeper into this art, this quiet audacity of release. We will not diminish the difficulty, for what resists is made of habits and hopes, and we are tender creatures who have learned to pretend we are stone. Yet we are water. Water finds its way by yielding. To live fully, yield to being alive. Letting go begins with the recognition that the you who clutches is itself a ripple. The self you protect, chase, advertise, and defend is a pattern in motion, like a whirlpool in a river, distinct enough to recognize yet inseparable from the flow that forms it. Try to scoop the whirlpool into a bucket, and you carry away only still water and disappointment. In the same way, the identity you try to freeze into permanence loses its music. The dance is in the movement. The dancer is the dancing. We confuse security with solidity, and so we harden. We harden opinions until they become cages, schedules until they become shackles, dreams until they become debts. But life, by its very nature, is a festival of contrasts, form and emptiness, sound and silence, crest and trough. The river is not the rocks, nor the rocks the river, yet together they sing. To cling to the crest is to drown. The wave is the sea playing. The sea does not mourn when one wave subsides, because it is already becoming another. You too are being remade while you listen. Consider the mind as a mirror. When it is still, it reflects whatever passes, sky, birds, faces, clouds. When you smear it with grasping, I need this, I must be that. They must approve. The mirror no longer reflects, it projects. You stop seeing what is and become absorbed in what should be. The tragedy is not moral, it is practical. You miss the living present for the ghost of an imagined future. The remedy is not force, it is noticing. The mirror clears itself when you stop pressing your fingerprints upon it. Imagine a climber who reaches a ledge and refuses to shift weight, terrified to release one grip in order to grasp the next. He freezes, muscles booze, and time drips, and the body trembles with fatigue. The cliff is not punishing him. The cliff is simply the shape of reality. Progress demands a rhythm of holding and releasing, a trust that the next grip appears because the body moves. Your life is the same. The melody requires both notes and the space between. Without rests, music becomes noise. Without letting go, living becomes strain. But if I let go, you may whisper, won't I lose myself? And the answer is as curious as it is liberating. You cannot lose what you are. You can only lose what you are not. You can lose a story, a mask, an expectation, a brittle dream, but not the aliveness that dreams at all. The fear of falling is an echo from the narrow self, the small room with the locked door and the framed certificates. Outside that room is a garden. The lock is made of ideas. The key is silence. You may object. Surely some control is necessary. Without it, how do we eat, work, care, decide? Indeed, the body acts, the mind chooses, the hands build. But there is a difference between steering and strangling. A sailor sets the rudder and reads the wind. He does not bully the ocean. Letting go is the posture of the wise sailor. Attend, respond, adjust, release. Trying to command the storm is the fantasy of a child. Learning to move with weather is the maturity of a navigator. Observe how life already moves without your tyranny. You do not tell your bones how to knit after a cut. You do not instruct your eyes how to focus on a face you love. Something profoundly intelligent is happening prior to your plans. To let go is to yield to that intelligence, to listen inwardly as a musician listens to the rest of the ensemble. There is a time to enter, a time to refrain, a time to let the silence speak. And you are not separate from the silence. You are its voice in motion. The paradox is sweet. Only when you stop acting the current do you discover your energy. Letting go returns your power because it returns your attention. When the mind no longer spends itself in tug-of-war with what is, it becomes available, alive, curious, precise. You see details you missed, humor you ignored, pathways that were invisible when you were busy insisting the hallway should be a different color. Release widens the room. And here is another paradox. Letting go does not necessarily change the world. It changes your relationship with it. The road may still be muddy, but your step becomes lighter. The same job, the same family, the same aging body, yet the quality of experience softens, deepens, warms. Like winter light that turns a bare tree into lace, awareness transforms without adding or subtracting. Life is not improved by a new set of adjectives. It is revealed by fewer layers of interference. Letting go is not a technique to reach a better you. It is the gentle undoing of the idea that you are separate from the life that is already better than you dare imagine. When you soften into that, the world opens like a hand. Let us make this immediate. Begin with the most ordinary thing, walking. Next time you walk down a familiar street, consciously release your commentary. Not forever, just for a few steps. Feel the body walking itself. Knees hinge, ankles articulate, arms swing in a choreography older than your name. Notice how the ground meets the foot rather than the foot crushing the ground. Each step is a conversation between gravity and grace. Let go of hurrying to the destination and arrive in the step. What are you missing when you hurry? The sound of leaves applauding the wind. The scent of rain arguing softly with dust. A stranger's face that cracks into a smile when met with a glance that actually sees. Try it with listening. When a friend speaks, let go of preparing your reply. Let their words arrive as if you were a wide valley and their voice a stream. See how meaning gathers on its own. Often we do not hear because we are busy rehearsing, polishing an answer, as if the goal of speech were a trophy. Let go, and you discover that the silence between phrases is not empty. It is the loom on which connection is woven. The practical result is astonishing. Fewer arguments, richer conversations, the relief of being with another rather than arguing with your own echoes. Consider work. Many imagine letting go to be laziness, a shrugging off of effort. It is the opposite. When you release the tightness around outcomes, effort becomes precise. You attend to the task instead of the fantasy. A craftsperson does not rush the wood into a table by shouting. They feel the grain and cooperate with it. Letting go is cooperation with reality. It produces better work because it is aligned with the materials, time, attention, skill, and the unpredictable muse that arrives when invited by space, not demanded by tension. Practice with the breath. Sit quietly and feel the exhale as a gift. Let it drop like a stone into a still pond. Do not push it out. Simply notice that it releases itself. At the bottom of the exhale, there is a moment, tiny, quiet, where nothing is required. Linger there without grabbing the next inhale. It will come. In that fraction of a second, you meet the secret. Life sustains you. Trust is not a belief. It is an experience repeated every few seconds, unnoticed. To live fully is to notice it. Letting go in relationships means ceasing to manage other people's minds. You cannot pilot another's ship, not for long, not without running aground. Instead, you become a lighthouse, steady, clear, uninsistent. You shine by being what you are, and those who wish to steer toward clarity will do so of their own accord. This does not mean passivity in the face of harm. It means action without the fever of control. Boundaries are not walls you throw up in panic. They are shorelines where two seas meet with dignity. Money and time, those twin tyrants of modern anxiety, soften when you release your grip on the story surrounding them. Money is a form of energy, a symbol of exchange, nothing more mystical than the shared faith that bits of paper, digits on screens, coordinate cooperation. When you treat it as breath, you spend and receive with awareness. Hoarding suffocates. Indiscriminate spending hyperventilates. Letting go becomes a rhythm. Earn with integrity. Spend with clarity. Give with joy. Save with ease. Time, likewise, changes character when you stop fighting it. You do not have time. You are time. You are the event called this moment. When you relax into this, even a queue at the post office becomes part of the dance, and impatience loosens into observation. Letting go of self-judgment is perhaps the most practical of all. The voice that criticizes you for being anxious, for not letting go perfectly, is simply another wave pretending to be the ocean. Smile at it. Thank it for trying to keep you safe in the only way it knows, by tightening. Then return to the texture of the present, the feeling of hands, the hum of a refrigerator, the light on the floor. You need not defeat the judging voice. You only need to stop hiring it as your life coach. There are useful rituals. When something hurts, a disappointment, a plan unraveling, place a hand on your chest and say quietly, "This too belongs." It is not an incantation to invite suffering, but a permission slip to include what is already here. Exclusion is the root of much pain. We try to amputate experience rather than feel it. Inclusion, paradoxically, allows feeling to move and resolve. Tears, when welcomed, know where to go. Cultivate small acts of relinquishment. Leave a sentence unfinished in a conversation and let silence complete it. Close your laptop before the last urge to check one more thing. Give away an object you keep only because it proves a story about you. Stand at a window at night and let the darkness erase your edges until you sense that you are not inside looking out. You are the space in which inside and outside appear. Finally, practice saying yes to what has already happened. Not approval, not endorsement, just the simple acknowledgement that it is so. Yes, this is the weather. Yes, this is the traffic. Yes, this is the feeling. From yes, action becomes lucid. From no, action becomes war. The world does not need more internal wars. It needs human beings who can move as trees move, rooted, responsive, graceful in a wind they did not choose, but can learn to feel as music. Now we enter the quiet chamber where the ego unravels like an old sweater, not because it is evil, but because it is too small. What you call I is a wonderful tool, a name tag the universe wears to play at being particular. It is not the enemy, it is the costume. Problems arise when the costume forgets the actor. The fear of letting go is the fear of vanishing, because the costume cannot imagine the stage. But the stage is here, the lights warm, the audience vast and intimate. When you relax your grip on your name, you do not disappear, you expand. You become the spaciousness that contains the character and the scene and the applause and the silence after. This is the essence of awakening, recognizing yourself as the field in which all experiences arise, sensations, thoughts, sounds, without being confined to any of them. The mind says, I am anxious, and the heart smiles, feeling the anxiousness as a weather pattern moving through a boundless sky. The pattern is real, the sky is more real. You are the sky. In this recognition, letting go is no longer a duty, it is an inevitability. Clouds do not cling to sky, they drift. Feelings do not cling to awareness, they pass. What remains is the quiet luminosity of being, not exotic or remote, but immediate, so immediate it is overlooked. Death, that formidable teacher, is not outside this conversation. Everyone you love will form. You will change form. This is not a threat, it is the guarantee that life is precious and that clinging is futile. When you befriend impermanence, gratitude flowers not as a posture but as a reflex. The cup of tea is warmer, the friend's voice deeper, the morning light more generous. You do not postpone your life until later because you understand there is only this, the continuous miracle of presence wearing 1,000 faces. To live fully is to die into this moment again and again, so that each scene may be born fresh. Freedom is not an achievement unlocked by mastering the curriculum of self-improvement. Freedom is the absence of contraction around what is. In freedom, choices still happen, preferences still play, ethics still matter, but the tightness is gone. You move from necessity, not from fear. Compassion becomes natural because the boundaries soften. You recognize yourself in every face. How could you harm the wave when you know it as your own movement? How could you despise the cloud when you breathe the same sky? Letting go reveals this kinship. It is the end of loneliness without abolishing solitude. Solitude becomes a rich silence, an orchestra tuning to a note you cannot sing but can feel. If you wish for a concluding exercise, take it as a ceremony rather than a task. Sit where you are. Let your hands rest as if they were tired birds. Sense the body breathing. On the next exhale, imagine releasing one idea about who you must be today. Watch it drift like a leaf, not to be retrieved. On the next exhale, release one memory you keep polishing to prove some point. Let it sink into deep water. On the next exhale, release the need to finish this meditation correctly. Laugh softly at the urge to perfect your surrender. Notice what remains, this aware space, simple, bright, intimate. Rest there for the length of a sigh. As we end, understand that ending is also beginning. You cannot hold this teaching because it is not a thing. It is a rhythm you can join. Walk gently into your errands and conversations as if they were temple halls. Treat every threshold, doorways, elevator chimes, the click before a call connects, as bells of remembrance. The remembrance is not of a doctrine, but of your own aliveness, prior to the costume, prior to the script. When fear returns, as it will, greet it as a messenger who forgot its lines. Offer it tea. Feel the cup warm your hands. Let the warmth be enough. To live fully, you must first let go of tightening against the flow, of rehearsing life instead of living it, of trying to persuade the ocean to be a lake. The ocean is not tame, thank goodness. It is wide, and you are its movement. Your life is not a possession. It is a pilgrimage without a map, because the destination is the very step you're taking. Where else could you go? What else could you be? Let me leave you in a quiet place. Close your eyes if you like. Hear the faint sounds no one else is hearing exactly as you are. The distant hum, the small tick, the room's hidden music. Feel the breath you are not making happen. Feel the ground that does not question your weight. Sense the space that holds your thoughts and does not argue with them. If you wish for a final instruction, here it is. Trust this. Trust this openness that requires nothing from you except your willingness to be what you already are. Let the next inhale arrive as if it were the first, and the next exhale depart as if it were the last. In that gentle arc, discover the unconditioned peace that was never absent, only overlooked. Carry this with you, not as words, but as willingness. When you forget, begin again. You will not run out of beginnings. The sky has never run out of room for clouds. The sea has never refused another wave, and life has never once ceased its invitation. Relax, release, and realize that you belong to ease. The very thing you were trying to hold